We all share a silent enemy, lurking in the shadows of our mind's procrastination. It's that insidious voice that whispers, "Tomorrow will be easier," but we know that voice is deceitful, don't we? For tomorrow is no more certain than the rising sun, and with every delay, we chain ourselves tighter to the wheel of regret. Time is indifferent, it waits for no one. Yet, here we are, giving away our most precious resource to comfort, distraction, and avoidance. Before start explaining, if you're ready to stop waiting for change and start becoming it, join us on this journey. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we'll not only break free from destructive habits, we'll rise above them. Let's start it. The Stoic approach to time. Time, for the Stoic, is one of the most fundamental aspects of existence. It is beyond our control, eternally moving, indifferent to our desires and intentions. No matter how we live, time passes, relentlessly pulling us toward the inevitable end of our lives. The Stoics believed that understanding the nature of time was essential for cultivating a life of purpose and meaning. To waste time, in their view, was to squander the one resource that could never be recovered. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is not a morbid statement, but rather a reminder of life's transience. In these words, Marcus Aurelius is calling us to wake up from our complacency, to recognize that we are not guaranteed a single moment beyond the present. This sharp awareness of mortality should not paralyze us with fear, but instead galvanize us to act, to make the most of each day, of each task, of each opportunity that presents itself. Time is our most precious asset because it is finite. Yet how often do we treat it with disregard? We procrastinate, put off meaningful action, and entertain distractions as if we had an endless supply of hours ahead of us. But as Seneca emphasizes in his essay on the shortness of life, the problem is not that we have too little time, but that we waste so much of it. He wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Life is long if you know how to use it. This idea underpins the Stoic belief that procrastination is a failure to recognize the true value of time. The Stoic approach to time is simple but profound. The present moment is all we ever truly possess. The past is beyond our reach, already crystallized in memory. The future is uncertain, a mere possibility that may never come. What we have, what we control, is now, this very moment. And the Stoic seeks to make the most of it, to act with purpose, clarity, and intention. Procrastination, a failure to value the present. When we delay action, when we put off tasks or defer meaningful decisions, we are effectively denying the value of the present moment. We imagine that tomorrow will be a better time to start, to act, to change. But this is a form of self-deception. Tomorrow is not promised. The Stoics believe that to live well, we must act as if today is our last day on earth, not in a frantic, reckless manner, but with calm urgency and focus. Procrastination, therefore, is not just a bad habit, it is a philosophical error, a failure to live according to the truth of time's fleeting nature. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, taught that the only thing we truly possess is our ability to respond to the present moment. He wrote, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." The future is not something we control, and to wait for ideal conditions is to misunderstand life itself. The Stoic knows that conditions are never perfect. What we are waiting for, more time, more clarity, more courage, will never arrive in the way we expect. Therefore, we must act with what we have, where we are, in the moment we are given, embracing the present, a path to freedom. When we fully embrace the Stoic view of time, procrastination becomes impossible. Why would we delay, knowing that the only time we have is now? Each moment of hesitation is a moment lost, a piece of our life that we can never reclaim. The Stoic lives with a sense of urgency, not driven by anxiety or haste, but by the recognition that time is precious and fleeting. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the nature of time, reflecting on how brief life is. He reminds us, do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This goodness Marcus refers to is not just moral virtue, but also the goodness of living fully, of acting in harmony with nature, of not postponing the meaningful tasks of life. The Stoic seeks to act now because to delay is to miss the opportunity for growth, for contribution, for living in accordance with reason and virtue. Practical Stoicism sees each day. In practice, Stoicism calls us to seize each day as an opportunity to live with integrity and purpose. We are urged to reject the comforts of procrastination and instead meet each task with the understanding that it is an opportunity to strengthen our character. As Seneca wisely noted, while we are postponing, life speeds by the time we think we have is not ours. It is borrowed, and at any moment it may be taken from us. Therefore, the Stoic does not waste time. They do not wait for inspiration or for conditions to be favorable. They act, trusting that through action, they will align themselves with the natural flow of life. Procrastination as emotional weakness expanded. Procrastination is more than just a harmless delay, it is an expression of emotional weakness. In Stoic philosophy, emotions, especially those driven by fear, discomfort, or uncertainty, are seen as obstacles to reason and virtue. When we procrastinate, we allow these destructive emotions to dominate our actions, preventing us from living in accordance with the Stoic ideal of self-control and discipline. At its core, procrastination is an avoidance mechanism. We delay action not because we lack time, but because we are avoiding something deeper, perhaps fear of failure, fear of discomfort, or even fear of success. This avoidance is rooted in emotional fragility, a reluctance to face what is difficult or uncomfortable. A true believer of Stoicism recognizes that emotions, left unchecked, can enslave us, leading us away from our highest potential. The emotional traps of procrastination. Fear is one of the most common emotions underlying procrastination. We fear that we might fail, that our efforts will not be good enough, or that we will face judgment. This fear paralyzes us, causing us to delay action in the hope that the fear will subside with time. But as Stoicism teaches, fear only grows stronger the longer we allow it to control us. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, reminds us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Procrastination is a reaction, a retreat in the face of discomfort. Instead of confronting our fears and taking action, we seek temporary relief and avoidance, hoping that by delaying the task or challenge will become easier. But the Stoic knows that this is an illusion. In reality, delaying action only intensifies the emotional burden. The fear doesn't go away, it lingers, and with each moment of procrastination, it gains more power over us. Anxiety is another emotion that fuels procrastination. The mind becomes overwhelmed with possibilities. What if things go wrong? What if I'm not ready? What if the outcome is unfavorable? This kind of overthinking creates mental paralysis, a state in which we become trapped in endless loops of what-ifs rather than focusing on what we can control. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoic does not allow anxiety about future outcomes to prevent them from acting in the present. They recognize that the future is uncertain and beyond their control, but what they can control is their response to the current moment. Even the desire for comfort and ease can be a subtle emotional trap that leads to procrastination. It's easy to delay tasks when they seem difficult or unpleasant. We seek refuge in activities that provide immediate gratification, distractions, entertainment, or even busy work. But this pursuit of comfort is, in itself, a form of weakness. As Seneca observed, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare it. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. By giving in to the desire for ease, we deny ourselves the opportunity to grow and strengthen our character through facing challenges head-on. Procrastination as a symptom of internal conflict. Procrastination often arises from an internal conflict between what we know we should do and what we feel like doing. This conflict is a battle between reason and emotion. The Stoics believed that living a virtuous life required the mastery of reason over emotion. When emotions govern our actions, we become enslaved by our whims and impulses, making decisions based on what feels good in the moment, rather than what is aligned with our higher purpose. The Stoic philosopher Seneca emphasized the importance of aligning our actions with reason. Reason shows us that there is nothing to fear in the things we delay, yet our emotions, unchecked, make them seem daunting. In other words, reason tells us that the task we avoid is not as frightening or insurmountable as it appears, but our emotions magnify the challenge, making it seem overwhelming. Procrastination, therefore, is a failure to listen to reason, a surrender to the emotional fog that clouds our judgment. When we procrastinate, we give our emotions, whether fear, anxiety, or laziness, authority over our decisions. This weakens our sense of self-mastery. We become reactive, allowing circumstances and internal fears to dictate our actions. For the Stoic, this is unacceptable. True freedom comes from controlling our responses to external events and mastering our internal states, not from avoiding challenges. He who is brave is free, wrote Seneca. To act despite fear, to take control of our lives in the face of discomfort, is the ultimate expression of bravery and freedom. How procrastination erodes character. The danger of procrastination lies not only in the tasks left undone, but in the gradual erosion of our character. Each time we avoid something difficult, we reinforce a pattern of behavior that weakens our willpower and resilience. Over time, this pattern becomes ingrained, and we begin to associate challenge with avoidance, discomfort with delay. Procrastination slowly chips away at our inner strength, making it harder to face future difficulties with courage and resolve. For the Stoic, character is built through action, particularly in the face of resistance. Every time we overcome the impulse to procrastinate, we strengthen our inner fortitude. Marcus Aurelius urged us to view obstacles as opportunities. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the very thing we avoid, the difficult task, the uncomfortable action, is the path to growth. By confronting our fears and discomforts, we become stronger, more disciplined, and more in control of our emotions. Each moment of procrastination is a missed opportunity for growth. By delaying action, we not only delay progress but also weaken our resolve. The Stoic knows that the battle against procrastination is a battle for self-mastery. It is a test of our ability to rise above our base emotions and act in alignment with reason and virtue. The Stoic solution: embrace discomfort and act. The Stoic approach to overcoming procrastination is simple but demanding. We must act despite our emotions. When fear or discomfort arises, we must recognize it as a test of our character. Instead of retreating into avoidance, we embrace the challenge. Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is the essence of Stoic action. We must decide who we wish to become: a person of strength, discipline, and courage, and then take the necessary steps to become that person, no matter how uncomfortable or difficult the task may seem. To overcome procrastination is to confront our emotional weakness and rise above it. It is to reject the easy path of avoidance and choose the harder, but more rewarding, path of action. A true Stoic does not wait for emotions to align before acting. They act in spite of their emotions, knowing that action itself is the antidote to fear and hesitation. By taking control of our actions, we reclaim control over our lives, moving closer to the Stoic ideal of self-mastery. Action as an antidote to despair expanded. Despair is often the result of feeling powerless in the face of obstacles, overwhelmed by circumstances beyond our control. The Stoics, however, believe that while we may not control external events, we always have control over our internal responses and the actions we take. This simple but profound shift in perspective is what transforms despair into determination. Action, therefore, becomes the antidote to despair. When life seems unbearable, when challenges appear insurmountable, we are tempted to retreat into inaction, paralyzed by fear, grief, or hopelessness. But inaction is not neutral, it is corrosive. It allows despair to deepen, eroding our spirit and our capacity for resilience. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, offers us a powerful insight: do not be passive in the face of life's difficulties. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This means that obstacles are not to be feared but embraced, because they provide us with the opportunity to act, to confront our weaknesses, and to grow stronger. Despair feeds on our inaction, on our tendency to give up when things get difficult. But the Stoic approach teaches us that we do not overcome despair by waiting for the situation to change. We overcome it by acting in accordance with reason and virtue, even in the smallest ways. The power of action in defying despair. When we act, when we take even the smallest step forward, we are asserting our power over ourselves and our circumstances. Despair thrives in the absence of movement. It grows when we become passive, waiting for things to get better, or hoping that time will solve our problems. But the Stoics remind us that time alone does not heal. It is how we use time that makes the difference. Epictetus, another Stoic sage, said it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This speaks directly to the heart of the Stoic response to despair. While we may not be able to control the challenges that life throws at us, loss, failure, hardship, we can control our reaction to them. And that reaction is, at its core, one of action. When we act, we remind ourselves that we are not helpless. We reclaim our agency in the face of adversity. Even if the action is small, a single task completed, a single step taken, it represents defiance against the pull of despair. It shows that we are willing to engage with life, rather than be consumed by the weight of our emotions. This act of engagement is the beginning of hope. Action shatters the illusion of helplessness. Despair often arises from the illusion that we are powerless, that there is nothing we can do to change our situation. This illusion is what traps us in a cycle of inaction and self-pity. But the Stoics teach us that, while we cannot control everything, we can always control something: our actions, our choices, and our attitude. Seneca, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, offers a remedy for this sense of helplessness. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. In other words, choosing to engage with life, to keep moving forward in the face of difficulty, is itself an act of courage. And courage, for the Stoics, is a fundamental virtue. To act, despite fear and despair, is to live with courage. It is to affirm that we are not victims of fate, but active participants in our own lives. Action dispels the illusion of helplessness by grounding us in the present moment. It shifts our focus from what we cannot control to what we can. Even in the most overwhelming circumstances, we can always take some form of action, whether it's a physical task, a decision to change our mindset, or simply choosing to endure with dignity. These actions, however small, remind us of our power to shape our experience. Why despair is a form of emotional indulgence. From a Stoic perspective, despair is not just an emotional state, it is a form of indulgence, a surrender to destructive emotions that undermine our capacity for reason and virtue. Despair occurs when we allow our emotions to overtake us, convincing ourselves that the situation is hopeless. But as the Stoics teach, emotions are fleeting, and we are not bound by them unless we choose to be. In the Discourses, Epictetus emphasizes that we often suffer more in our imagination than in reality. Despair, in many ways, is a product of our mental constructs, our tendency to amplify the difficulty of our circumstances and convince ourselves that there is no way out. But the Stoic antidote to this is action, because action grounds us in reality. When we act, we break the cycle of rumination and overthinking that fuels despair. Instead of allowing our emotions to dictate our behavior, we choose to confront our reality head-on with courage and clarity. And as we act, we begin to see that the obstacles we once viewed as insurmountable are not as daunting as they seemed. Action shrinks our fears and quiets our anxieties by bringing us back to what we can control. Action breeds momentum and hope. One of the greatest benefits of taking action is that it creates momentum. When we are stuck in despair, the first step can feel impossible. But once we take that step, no matter how small, it becomes easier to take the next one, and the next. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom: progress, not perfection. As Marcus Aurelius advises, the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. It requires being ready to meet and withstand sudden attacks. Life is a constant struggle, but in that struggle, we find our strength. With each action we take, we build resilience. And as resilience grows, so does hope. Not the passive hope that things will magically improve, but the active hope that comes from knowing we are capable of facing whatever life brings. The Stoics understood that hope is not an external gift, it is something we cultivate through action. When we act, even in the face of despair, we are planting the seeds of hope. Each small victory, each task completed, each challenge faced reminds us of our capacity for growth and change. And this, in turn, weakens the hold that despair has over us. Despair cannot withstand the Stoic will to act. The Stoic will is unyielding in the face of adversity. It does not succumb to emotions like despair, fear, or hopelessness. Instead, it rises to meet these challenges with action, determination, and inner strength. The Stoic approach to life is not one of passive acceptance, but of active engagement with reality, no matter how difficult or painful that reality may be. As Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind. As labor does the body, despair is a challenge to the mind, a test of our inner fortitude. And the only way to pass this test is through action. By choosing to act, we strengthen our will, harden our resolve, and cultivate the mental toughness needed to endure whatever life throws our way." Fortitude in the face of resistance expanded. Fortitude, courage in pain or adversity, is one of the core virtues of Stoicism. It is the unyielding strength of mind and spirit that allows us to endure hardship, resist temptation, and face adversity with unwavering determination. For the Stoics, life is filled with resistance, both external and internal. The true measure of a person is not how they fare when things are easy, but how they stand when confronted with challenges. It is in moments of resistance that we must summon our fortitude and act according to our principles. Resistance comes in many forms: the pressure to conform to society's standards, the obstacles life throws in our path, and the destructive emotions that cloud our judgment. Fortitude is what allows us to rise above these challenges. It is the force that propels us forward when everything around us tries to pull us back. The Stoics believed that life was not about avoiding difficulty, but about meeting it head-on with inner strength. The Stoic definition of fortitude. Fortitude, in the Stoic sense, is not merely the endurance of suffering. It is an active state of resilience, a refusal to be broken by life's difficulties. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This statement underscores the essence of Stoic fortitude, the understanding that we may not control what happens to us, but we control how we respond. True fortitude is rooted in this internal mastery. When faced with resistance, a Stoic doesn't waste time lamenting the unfairness of life or trying to change the unchangeable. Instead, they turn inward and strengthen their resolve. They remain calm in the face of adversity, not because they are immune to suffering, but because they have trained their minds to see resistance as an opportunity to grow. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the very obstacles that appear to block our path are, in fact, the path itself. External resistance, life's unavoidable challenges. One of the key insights of Stoicism is that external resistance, whether it comes in the form of physical hardship, societal pressure, or the unpredictability of fate, is inevitable. We cannot escape the challenges of life, but we can choose how we face them. The Stoics believe that external resistance is not a curse, but a teacher. It is through these difficulties that we cultivate our fortitude. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, often emphasized that a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. This means that resistance is not something to be avoided or feared, but embraced. It is through resistance that we become stronger. Each obstacle, each setback, each moment of adversity is a chance to refine our character, to prove our resilience, and to demonstrate the strength of our principles. Stoic fortitude requires us to accept the fact that life will not always go our way. There will be setbacks, failures, and disappointments. But instead of seeing these moments as reasons to give up, the Stoics sees them as opportunities to grow. The greater the resistance, the greater the potential for inner strength. We do not break when life pushes against us, we push back, fortified by our unwavering commitment to Stoic principles. Internal resistance mastering destructive emotions. While external resistance is unavoidable, internal resistance, the battle against our own destructive emotions, can be even more formidable. Fear, anger, jealousy, and despair are the internal forces that often hold us back, preventing us from living according to reason and virtue. The Stoics recognize that these emotions are part of the human experience, but they also believe that we have the power to overcome them. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, reminds us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Internal resistance is often a product of our reactions to external events. We become frustrated when things don't go our way. We become anxious about the future, or we dwell on past mistakes. But the Stoic path to fortitude teaches us that we must rise above these emotional impulses. We must master them, rather than be mastered by them. Overcoming internal resistance is a daily practice. It requires vigilance and self-awareness. When anger rises, the Stoic does not lash out. Instead, they pause and reflect. When fear threatens to paralyze, the Stoic takes action despite the fear. When despair creeps in, the Stoic remembers that the only thing truly within their control is their own mind and their own actions. This is where fortitude is truly tested, when we are alone with our thoughts, battling the emotions that seek to undermine our strength. Fortitude through deliberate action. The Stoics taught that fortitude is not a passive endurance of hardship, but an active, deliberate choice to act with reason and virtue in the face of resistance. Courage for the Stoics was not just the bravery to confront danger, but the moral courage to do what is right, even when it is difficult or unpopular. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is a call to action, a reminder that fortitude is about doing, not just thinking. The Stoic does not sit idly by, waiting for things to get easier or for resistance to subside. They act with purpose and intention, in alignment with their values. This deliberate action is what separates Stoic fortitude from mere endurance. It is not enough to simply survive adversity. We must engage with it, learn from it, and grow stronger because of it. Every time we choose to act with courage and integrity, we strengthen our fortitude. Every time we resist the pull of destructive emotions, we build our resilience. This is the essence of Stoic fortitude, a continual practice of virtue in the face of resistance. The role of discipline in cultivating fortitude. Discipline is the foundation upon which fortitude is built. Without discipline, the mind is easily swayed by comfort, laziness, or fear. The Stoics believed that discipline was not about harshness or deprivation, but about training the mind and body to resist the temptations that lead to weakness. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." This highlights the importance of discipline in the Stoic understanding of fortitude. We waste time when we give in to procrastination, when we avoid difficult tasks, or when we allow our emotions to dictate our actions. Discipline is what keeps us on the path, ensuring that we act with purpose, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. Through discipline, we cultivate the mental toughness needed to face resistance. The more we practice discipline, whether in small daily tasks or in larger life decisions, the stronger our fortitude becomes. And with fortitude comes freedom. The freedom to live in accordance with our principles, unshaken by external events or internal turmoil. Stoic fortitude, a lifelong journey. The Stoics understood that fortitude is not something we achieve once, and for all, it is a lifelong practice. There will always be resistance, both from the outside world and from within ourselves. But the Stoic approach teaches us that each moment of resistance is an opportunity to practice fortitude. Each challenge, each hardship is a chance to prove to ourselves that we are capable of enduring and overcoming. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." This speaks to the gradual process of cultivating fortitude. It is not something we can develop overnight. It is the result of consistent practice, of choosing every day to face resistance with courage and integrity. Fortitude transcends fear and failure. One of the most profound aspects of Stoic fortitude is its ability to transcend both fear and failure. The Stoics did not promise a life without suffering. On the contrary, they recognized that pain, loss, and failure are inevitable parts of the human experience. But fortitude, for the Stoic, is the strength to continue on despite these challenges. Fear, in particular, is one of the greatest sources of resistance. It holds us back, convincing us that we are not strong enough to face adversity. But as the Stoics teach, fear is often irrational, a product of our minds rather than reality. When we confront fear with fortitude, we discover that it loses its power over us. Failure, too, is not the enemy. For the Stoic, failure is simply another form of resistance, another opportunity to grow. Fall 7 times, stand up 8, the ancient wisdom goes. Fortitude is what allows us to rise again, no matter how many times we fall. It is the courage to continue. The belief that we can endure whatever life throws our way. We are in this together expanded. The Stoic philosophy, though deeply focused on individual virtue and inner strength, also emphasizes the profound interconnectedness of all human beings. Stoicism teaches us that we are not isolated entities, we are part of a larger whole, bound by the same universal reason, subject to the same challenges, and walking the same path toward wisdom. This collective journey, the idea that we are all in this together, is at the heart of Stoic thought. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "We are all working together to one end, some with knowledge and design, and others without knowing what they do." This statement underscores the Stoic belief that life is a shared experience, and that our actions ripple out to affect others, just as their actions affect us. In recognizing this interconnectedness, we develop not only fortitude in ourselves, but also compassion for those who are struggling alongside us. The Stoic idea of universal brotherhood. One of the fundamental principles of Stoicism is the concept of cosmopolitanism, the belief that all humans are part of a single, universal community. We may be born in different places, speak different languages, or follow different customs, but at our core, we are all part of the same human family. "The world is but one great city," wrote the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, reminding us that our fate is tied to the fate of others. This idea of universal brotherhood fosters a sense of shared responsibility and unity. In Stoicism, this sense of unity means that while we work on ourselves, striving for personal virtue and resilience, we also recognize that others are engaged in the same struggle. We are all striving to overcome the same destructive emotions, to master our desires, and to live according to reason. This shared struggle creates a bond between us, a connection that transcends individual differences. The Stoics' duty is not just to improve themselves, but also to contribute to the betterment of others. We rise together, or we fall together. Empathy and compassion in Stoic practice. Contrary to the common misconception that Stoicism is about emotional detachment, the philosophy actually encourages empathy and compassion. It teaches that we should not only understand our own emotions, but also recognize and acknowledge the emotional struggles of others. We all experience fear, anger, frustration, and sadness at different points in our lives. These emotions are universal, and the Stoics' goal is not to deny their existence, but to transcend them through reason and wisdom. Seneca, in his letters, emphasized the importance of compassion and understanding toward others. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. This teaching urges us to extend our understanding of human nature to those around us. When we see someone procrastinating, struggling with their inner demons, or giving in to destructive emotions, we are reminded that we too have been in that position. Instead of judgment, Stoicism teaches us to offer support, encouragement, and guidance. We are in this together. After all, facing the same internal and external challenges, the shared battle against destructive emotions. In our shared journey through life, one of the greatest battles we all face is against destructive emotions: fear, anger, envy, greed, and despair. These emotions do not discriminate. They affect all people, regardless of status, background, or beliefs. The Stoics understood that everyone is susceptible to these emotional forces, and therefore, overcoming them is a universal struggle. When we embrace the idea that we are all in this together, it becomes easier to offer compassion instead of judgment when we see others succumbing to these emotions. We recognize that, just like us, they are fighting an internal battle. Instead of distancing ourselves from their pain, we acknowledge it as a reflection of our own human experience. By cultivating fortitude and wisdom in ourselves, we not only strengthen our ability to navigate our own emotional struggles, but we also become better equipped to help others do the same. The Stoics saw destructive emotions not as personal failures, but as obstacles that everyone must overcome. This shared understanding binds us together, creating a sense of solidarity in the face of adversity. As we work to overcome these emotions in our own lives, we can inspire and support those around us, reinforcing the truth that we are not alone in our struggles. Cooperation over isolation, a Stoic necessity. Though Stoicism often emphasizes individual self-discipline and inner fortitude, it also recognizes that humans are social creatures by nature. Marcus Aurelius said, "Human beings have been made for the sake of one another. Teach them or endure them." This statement captures the essence of Stoic cooperation. We are meant to work together, to learn from one another, and to support one another through life's challenges. Isolation is contrary to our nature. We grow stronger through cooperation and mutual support. In practice, this means that Stoics do not retreat into themselves in the face of difficulty. Instead, they engage with the world around them, seeking to be of service to others while remaining true to their principles. Stoicism teaches that by helping others, we also help ourselves. When we act with kindness, patience, and understanding, we reinforce our own commitment to virtue. And when we receive support from others, we are reminded of the strength that comes from community. This is not to say that Stoics rely on others for their happiness or fulfillment. That would go against the philosophy's emphasis on self-reliance and personal responsibility. However, Stoicism acknowledges that we are stronger when we work together, united by a common goal to live in accordance with nature, reason, and virtue. Mutual support in the face of adversity. The Stoics believe that life is inherently filled with adversity, and it is through this adversity that we grow. However, they also understood that facing adversity alone is far more difficult than facing it with the support of others. Seneca wrote, "No man is an island. We must seek out like-minded individuals who will support us in our pursuit of virtue." This speaks to the Stoic emphasis on community and mutual support. When we acknowledge that we are all in this together, we realize that the burden of life's challenges does not need to rest on our shoulders alone. By supporting each other, we lighten the load for everyone. The Stoic path is not one of isolation, but one of shared purpose. We encourage each other to persevere, to cultivate fortitude, and to rise above the challenges we face, inspiring each other through example. Perhaps the most powerful way we can support one another in the Stoic tradition is through example. Stoicism teaches us that actions speak louder than words. By living according to Stoic principles, by showing fortitude in the face of resistance, discipline in the face of temptation, and wisdom in the face of uncertainty, we inspire those around us to do the same. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of setting a good example. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This is a call to action, a reminder that we can be a source of strength and guidance for others simply by living in alignment with our values. When others see us overcoming procrastination, facing adversity with courage, and mastering our emotions, they are inspired to do the same. We are all striving for the same goal, to live a virtuous and fulfilling life. By embodying Stoic principles, we become a beacon of strength for others, showing them that it is possible to rise above life's challenges and live with integrity. Stoic brotherhood, a call to collective growth. In Stoicism, there is a profound sense of brotherhood, a recognition that our individual growth is inextricably linked to the growth of others. The Stoics believe that by helping others grow in wisdom and virtue, we also advance our own development. The betterment of others is the best path to your own betterment, wrote Marcus Aurelius. This is the Stoic way. We lift each other up, and in doing so, we all rise together. When we embrace the Stoic principle of universal brotherhood, we cultivate a mindset of shared responsibility. We understand that the strength of one benefits the whole, and the weakness of one affects us all. This does not mean that we are responsible for the actions of others, but it does mean that we have a duty to support and encourage one another in the pursuit of virtue. This collective growth is not just a noble ideal, it is a practical necessity. We all face moments of weakness, doubt, and fear. In those moments, the support of others can make all the difference. By working together, we create an environment where personal growth and resilience are not just possible, but inevitable. In the end, it is not what we say or plan that defines us, it is what we do. Let us act, not because the task is easy, but because it is necessary. Let us seize each moment, knowing that every delay only strengthens our chains, while every action brings us closer to true freedom. Let us together break the cycle of procrastination, and in doing so, live fully and with purpose. For as the Stoics teach, life is brief, but within that brevity lies the chance for greatness. The only question that remains is, will you take it? Remember, true change begins with action, not tomorrow, not someday, but today. If this message resonated with you, if you felt a shift in your thinking, take a moment now to like the video and subscribe. By joining this community, you're not just consuming content, you're committing to a path of self-mastery, resilience, and inner peace. Together, we will continue to rise, grow, and overcome.